Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the BCB podcast. This is a Rumble on the Riviera special as BCB heads down to the South Coast on the 2nd of September. I'm joined by Vicky Wilkinson, who's fighting in that main event, and James Drummond. Both of you, thank you very much for joining the call. Vicky, this is a massive fight for yourself. You're going in for the Commonwealth title, the first time that the Commonwealth title has been fought at this weight. You're going in against someone with lots of experience in Chrissy Shergold. Talk a little bit about how the opportunity came about, and was it an obvious one to take for you?
Well, Abel just asked me if I'd take it, and I just said yeah. I'm not getting no younger, so at the end of the day, opportunities that don't always come knocking. So I just thought it'd be a great opportunity for me.
Yeah, and you're no stranger to obviously traveling. We were talking a little bit before the recording, obviously about your extensive amateur background, and you fought all around the country. But you know
Yeah,
you're going into it, it'll be a little bit of a Lions Den. She'll have a lot of fans there, and a lot of the home fighters will be and corners will be supporting her as well. But that doesn't phase you.
no, not at all. At the end of the day, the pressure's on her shoulders. I'm coming to her backyard, so all I've got to do is turn up and fight.
Now, James, you're fighting in your part of the world, certainly where you're from. I was having a quick look at the venue, actually. Obviously, it's had boxing there for over 30 years, various shows from small hall up to decent sized title fight. There'll be another title fight there. But you're coming into this fight off the back of that. I mean, I'm going to say very unfortunate loss. The fight, the guy you're up against, the weight, everything else. It was a difficult night, wasn't it, for you? But I know you're full of motivation and ready to bounce back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is what it is. You can't hold on to these things, can you? For me, it's just another experience, and it's more learning.
Yeah, going in with that second fight. As we say, there's plenty of other fighters on the card. It's a stacked bill with a lot of home fighters down from that part of the world. Vicky, talk to us a little bit about your pro journey so far. I mean, you've been pro for over a year now. I suppose. I think I've seen majority of your four fights. Turned pro quite late on after having that extensive amateur background. First of all, what made you decide to turn pro, and how have you assessed your career so far?
The reason I turned pro is obviously as an amateur, you have to stop at 40. I won the nationals, but I'm never going to go nowhere with England or GB. So me and my coach Tony Marshall said, let's turn over. So I just turned over, and we'll just see how we get on.
Now, you've had obviously a couple of, well, four wins out of four, including a couple of good wins over Becky Ferguson that may not have looked a huge amount at the time, but she's obviously gone on to have a great win herself against Hannah Bagley. They put yourself in good stead for someone like Chrissy, who's going to give you, it's going to be a very different sort of fighter probably to what you fought before.
Oh yeah, definitely. She looks a tough girl. She's got experience behind her, but I'm just as tough as her. So we'll just see how we get on.
Now, James, something that you two have both got in common, obviously yourself also turning pro quite late on after having a fairly short amateur background. Talk about what your motivations are at this stage. Obviously, I'd say you're a little bit older in years, but that's certainly not uncommon. And as they looking to bounce back on the second.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, for me, it's all about just seeing where I could go and what I could do. I was only feeling like I was getting sort of better, although the actual number of bouts wasn't that many. I've been in the game for a long time, so the decision was sort of it came to me really just at the right time when I was starting to feel my best. And starting to progress pretty well. And then obviously COVID hit, which didn't help things. But my motivation's always been the same. It's about it's just about a bit of self-belief and making people realize that you don't have to listen to everything that's out there. If you believe in yourself and you think you can do it, then you should give it a go. And that's where I am.
Absolutely, a very understandable inspiration as well to look to bounce back. Just talk a little bit about boxing in your part of the world. I was down actually in Weymouth, which I know is a little bit out of the way, but very, very nice part of the country. Where me and Vicky are from, there's a lot more boxing gyms and a lot more rough and tough action, shall we say, in the Midlands and Stoke where I am. But talk about the boxing scene down there. What's it like? Is it thriving? There's plenty of gyms. There's been some good names that have come from that part of the world.
Yeah, I mean, there is plenty going on down here, but the only thing is there's just a lot of traveling involved. So if you are not willing to mix it up and not willing to put yourself in and around sort of any weights, any experiences, then it's going to be more difficult for you. But it is in general down here. I think there's a bit of a misconception of some of the fighters down this way, but there's a lot of hunger here, and some of the kids that I've seen around, there's some good people coming around, and they're going to be ones to look out for, you know.
Now, Vicky, yourself, obviously a product of the Darlaston Boxing Club, obviously a very well-known gym in our part of the world. Talk about that sort of amateur background, that what got you into the sport early on, because as you say, there's a lot of women getting involved now. You're seeing a lot of women, a lot of teenage girls getting involved in boxing. Wasn't necessarily that common when you first started out. So what was it that first drew you to the sport?
Well, I did martial arts first. I was a kickboxer. I ended up with surgery on my ankle, so I couldn't kick. So 2013, I turned over. Won the ABAs 2013. Boxed for a couple of years, and I stopped. I boxed for Lions at the time. Took a few years out, and then come back 2018 when I went to Darlaston. And then obviously there's more women in the sport now. But me and Tony knew I wasn't going nowhere in the amateurs. Yes, I was winning. I've won 10, lost 1 for Tony. And then we just had to turn over if I was going to do anything. So that's what we did.
You have, and you put yourself in a great position now. We've just been joined on the call by another fighter taking part on that show, Mertys Rowen, who's making his professional debut. But thank you very much for joining us. We're glad we got you on the call. I've seen plenty of stuff on social media. Obviously, I know you're excited and raring to go in September.
Absolutely, mate. Yes, sorry about that. I just had a bit of trouble connecting and getting on there. Good to be here.
No, you can hear you loud and clear. That's fine. Cool. So obviously, you're going to say making your professional debut. It's only a matter of a few weeks away now. I know looking back that you've had some great sparring over the years with the likes of Lee Selby and other top professionals. Has that put you in good stead for this fight on the second?
Yeah, I feel so. I feel like, to be honest with you, I was because I signed contracts and I was ready to turn pro back in 2019. And then obviously just with the pandemic, it just threw a bit of a spanner in the works. So yeah, no, I feel, but mentally, I think the time's been good for me. It's just let me sort of settle into the pro style.
Now, we talked a little bit about obviously the coaching in the background setup. Obviously, you've got a fairly familiar name who's going to be involved with your training in your corner. Talk a little bit about that and the setup you've had leading into this one.
So what is that referring to? My trainer?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so I was training with Darren Hamilton. Darren's actually just had a kid recently. So he's had a kid. He's got married, which is fantastic. Me and Darren are still close, still really good friends. But I've been training down with Gareth Hogg. I've been with the stable over at the Torquay gym lately. So I've been with Shannon, James, Chrissy, and so on. But me and Gareth actually go way, way back. So we've known each other and we've been doing work together for years. So yeah, so it's not really like a new thing. It's like we've always kind of worked together anyway.
Yeah, and I was talking again about obviously boxing in your part of the world. It's a chance to make a bit of a name for yourselves, for you guys. Obviously, you're early on in your career, but you're hoping to get more fights down there, and hopefully these shows become a regular thing for you.
Absolutely, I think that's the big thing, isn't it? Is that you've got plenty of talent in the Southwest, but you just haven't really got the you haven't got the shows, you haven't got the platform, you know. And that's one of those big differences. So hopefully, when people see not just what we can bring, but the people we can bring and the entertainment and everything, that'll start picking up the shows and we'll get more and get an even better scene down there.
Absolutely. Now, Vicky, just heading back to your fight very quickly. Obviously, the Commonwealth title, it's a legitimate belt. You know, we see a lot of international belts and IBO this and everything floating around, but this is a proper traditional title, which could lead on to massive things for you. Sure, I know you won't be looking past Chrissy, but a win in this fight could open up massive doors for you, definitely.
Oh yeah, definitely. But you've got to look at every fight one at a time. So, you know, go and win this one and then move on. But at the end of the day, it's a tough lady in front of me, so it's going to be, you know, a really good fight. Whoever wins the belt, obviously, I believe I'll be victorious and walk away with it. But I do know she's a strong lady in front of me, so it's good opportunities for both of us.
Absolutely. Now, just a quick one as well, guys. A little bit away from your show. There's a small matter of Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk at the weekend. I know not all of you may be watching. Not every fighter is a big fight fan, is something I have found out. But we'll start with you, James. What's your thoughts on that one? How do you see it going? And how do you find? Who's your money on Saturday night?
I would say it's got to be a repeat, hasn't it? I'm a big fan of Usyk. I think he moves too well. He's going to be tricky, but who knows? Anthony Joshua may have learned a lot since the first experience, so you can't write him off. But my money's on Usyk.
Mertys, will come to you on that one. How do you see Saturday night game?
To be honest with you, I think it's just a repeat. Usyk's just got too much skill. Joshua's a great fighter, but he's always sort of been limited. And this, I think that's where he is. I think Usyk again, repeat.
Vicky, is it going to be 3 for 3 for Usyk?
It is 3 for 3. I think what his country's gone for at the minute, I think he's just going to be a different beast. You know, he's fought for his own country now. Now he's fighting in the ring. He's a different animal, I think, now.
Yeah, I have to say I agree with all three of you. I think it's going to be it is going to be a repeat. I'd like Anthony to win, but he's just such a phenomenal fighter, and I think when you hear people talk about if he just goes and rushes him in the early rounds, as if that's just something that's going to be so easy to do. But massive show over on Sky Sports Box Office. So for those that are tuning in listening to this one, we'll be doing a post-fight recap on Sunday with another couple of the guys who are fighting on the show as well. So just before I let you go, just a quick word, obviously, to the guys at the bottom, the fans that will be coming to see yourself. I know, Vicky, you'll have your team in your corner, and that's all you need. But just a quick shout out, James, to your fans, and then we'll get to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to this fight. It's been a long time. I mean, even the build up to the first one, it feels like I have been building up to this fight from the very beginning of the year. It's been a long time coming, and I'm really looking forward to everyone coming down and supporting us down at the Riviera Centre and having boxing back in the Southwest.
Mertys, just to you, I was trying to work out earlier how many professional debutants I'd seen in the, 14, 15 years. I mean, it's a lot. So I feel like I've been and seen everything. But what are you looking forward to bringing and putting on a real statement that night?
Yeah, you know what? That's exactly what it's about. I think, while you're right, you'll see X amount of debutants, but the really special ones stay in your mind. So hopefully, I can just give like one of those defining debuts where everybody just goes right. I think like top of my head, like say like Mitchell Smith, James Ancliffe. When I think back, I think it's funny because that debut will stay in my mind more than any of his fights later on. So yeah, I want to make that sort of statement. Just go out there and just show everybody what I can do.
Absolutely. Well, looking forward to seeing both you guys in action. As soon as we've got news on the opponents, we'll be putting that on the podcast as well. So looking forward to seeing both of you. And Vicky, I have to say, no bias, but good luck. Who I'm supporting, Team BCB, but I'm looking forward to a good fight with you and Chrissy. I've seen a lot of her fights and bits on YouTube, and she looks a handful, so it's going to be a good test for you, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Right. Thanks very much for coming on the call, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
See you all. Bye.
Bye, mate.
Great to be joined there by three of the guys and girls in action on that show on the 2nd of September. Tickets are still available for that show, so speak to the fighters. As I say, a really nice venue, good historical venue. Bit of a jaunt if you're coming from our part of the world, but Black Country Boxing doesn't just cover the Black Country. We are, I was going to say international, but we're certainly across the country, and one day maybe international. We'll start putting on some shows elsewhere, but really looking forward to that one. And as we just touched upon then, it's the big fight Saturday night, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk. I just hope that everyone, including myself, is wrong. I really hope that Joshua picks up the win. That's for the IBF, IBO, WBA and WBO World Heavyweight titles over in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. It's a biggie. Sky Box Office, they put the price up. I think it's $22.99, $23.99. And then on that undercard, Callum Smith is in with Mattia Badalik. I think they were trying to get that one for a final eliminator. I'm not sure if that's happened or not at light heavyweight, but Callum Smith's been out the ring for a little bit, and we're looking for that big opportunity. Looking back at getting at World Honours after falling short against Canelo. Two of the big boys, Filip Hrgović and Zhilei Zhang, will be in action, both unbeaten. Zhang with that one draw, I think 3 fights ago. That one is an eliminator for a world title. that could be really interesting. Filip Hrgović, for me, I think is the best heavyweight outside of the top names that we talk about. I think he will make absolute mincemeat of Zhang, but I'm often proved wrong, so don't put your money on anything that I say. But looking forward to seeing that. Badu Jack is in action against Richard Riviera. Badu Jack, former world champion, boxer likes of James DeGale, beat George Groves. So familiar name to ourselves. And then a really historic fight, Ramla Ali takes on Crystal Nova. Ramla Ali unbeaten in 6 fights. It will be the first female fight to take place in Saudi Arabia. And when we talk about sports washing and some of the controversial elements of fighting over in that part of the world, that's a good step in the right direction. And it's good that it's Ramla Ali that will get the chance to do that. And also just rounding out the card, the very exciting, very controversial Olympic medalist Ben Whittaker. He'll be taking on Petr Nosic. It's going to be Ben's second fight after his very, very lively opener that he had the other week. So it'll be interesting to see him in action. He won his last fight in second round stoppage after a rather quirky ring entrance, rather quirky first round. He's one of them characters. I think you're either going to love him or you're going to hate him. But I think that's what he's looking to pin his career on, and he is very, very watchable. So I hope you all enjoy that show on Saturday night. As I said, we'll be catching up on Sunday with Shannon Wiley for recapping the show and also talking about himself. He'll also be fighting on that stacked bill down in the Southwest. So thank you very much for listening this week. As always, put your comments, tweets to @BCB Boxing, @BCB Boxing on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook. Or if you want to message me directly @Paul_725. Thanks so much for listening and subscribing, and we'll be back on Sunday.